So yeah, this is just, hopefully it'll be short. I've had far too many long videos of late. It's just like, I don't know what I'll call it, but it's like dirty, naughty, you know, kind of fragrances. Fragrances that are not necessarily the most kind of animalic and what have you out there. There's a lot more, but kind of wearable, naughty, frisky fragrances, isn't it really? Just ones with a little bit of an indolic touch or a kind of naughty feel about it. Just them fragrances, because why not? Anyway, we'll get started. So first up on the list is Amouage's 25. This is the little square bottle one, the one they called Woman. Now this is a kind of good old-fashioned kind of vintagey one. It's really hard to describe. A bit like its rectangular counterpart. Kind of primarily is all about the spices, but this one has the florals kind of touched up as opposed to the resins. Now there are resins in it, but it opens quite what we call in the fragrance game pissy, which is actually quite pleasant. Which I'm presuming is probably the more indolic touch from the ylang ylang, and that runs right through it. It does tame down, it's not like wildly kind of over the top, and I'd say there's a little hint of cumin in there, and it's quite possibly the tarragon which gives it this another kind of edginess in there, and then it's just kind of dries down to these kind of gently spicy, mild indolic florals. It's not that, like I say, that kind of strong kind of does fade with it a bit as it goes through it, and then it's just like this pleasant kind of naughty floral, if you like, with a kind of it's amouage. It's a nice bit of incense running through it, giving it a nice edge and stuff. It is kind of the floral version of the other 25. It's beautiful, and this one is for someone with, well, obviously a lot of confidence, but it's kind of style, the way it's done. I mean, I suppose it was to celebrate the 25th anniversary. It probably is taking you back to them mega kind of dirty powerhouse florals of the early 80s and that. It's a magnificent fragrance. You need a bit of confidence to pull it off, I think. I think it really should. I love it. But yeah, it's a kind of naughty floral, this one, I'd say. So that's Amouage's Jubilation 25 Woman. Next is from 4160 Tuesdays, and it's Court of Ravens. It's one I've mentioned a few times. I'm not going to buy when I move house. We're sick of hearing about that. I'm moving to get some money together. It will be one I buy. Now this is a kind of a more gothic, naughty floral. It's primarily, there's a lot of notes listed and stuff, and I wouldn't say, you pay no attention, pay no heed. There is this kind of green, thorny rose, and there's a certain greenness about it where you see these kind of ivy leaves. It doesn't smell of ivy, but it's got that kind of, you know, that dark greenness, and it's quite mossy and it's really earthy from probably the patchouli, but it's got this little bit of something like cumin running through it again, and the cumin, it has this kind of, it's not so much sweaty as a little hint of, it's really subjective, and I'm being quite poetic about it, but it does have this little like whiff of fear about it. It's more someone who's running and a bit panicked. It's that kind of sweat, if you get what I mean. And you just have this image of I mean, it's probably because of the name and stuff, but this kind of castle courtyard with bats and wolves in there, and you're walking through these thorny roses ripping at you and stuff, and it smells green and old, and you're kind of all a bit sweaty. It's delightfully dark and gothic and naughty. It's a beautiful fragrance. Anyway, I promised to keep this one short. So that's Court of Ravens from 4160 Tuesdays. Next is another fine indie fragrance. And this one I have discovered in the heat you can overspray. Anyways, One Way Bridges and More. Now, this is a fragrance I've spoke about quite a lot. It's predominantly just grapes, and there's little hints of this and that in there, and there's kind of some beautiful musks, but there's this really dirty musk at the beginning. I think it's the musk, perhaps there's something else in there, and it smells of proper dank sweat. It smells like you've been at it in some stables after you've been crushing grapes and stuff. It's got this kind of really dark carnal feel to it. It's very, very naughty, and I suppose you see in these images of these sweaty, ripped Italian men and big bosomed Italian ladies who've been working all day, stamping the grapes, and they're all like just smelling sweet but also just naughty, and they're off for a bit of a frolic. It's got that kind of feel around it. I suppose what we'd have called it in my day is a bit of a skank, but it's not in any way bad or anything, and that does fade a little. It does. However, what I will say is you can overspray this, which I did, and I was a little bit self-conscious, even for me who's happy to wear anything. I think I just smelt a skank. Smelt like I'd come back from a naughty evening out. But yeah, something completely different. You don't get a lot of great fragrances, do you? But it has this kind of definite wininess, and just that human touch to it all. Beautiful fragrance. One Way Bridge, Amore. Next is another old classic, which just has so much attitude and about it. That's Estée Lauder's Youth Dew. Now, I'm obviously talking about a more modern version. I've smelled slightly more vintage versions, but not the OG, obviously. And this is just a big statement maker. It starts off quite sweet. I think cola is listed, but it's probably a bit of cardamom and the amber and stuff like that. So have this kind of nice cokey sparkle, and then as it develops, the cloves are kind of you know that pushes through. We know what cloves are like. It does have this kind of warm sweetness about it, but they also have a bit of an edge, don't they, cloves? They do have a bit of a kind of bitter, naughty feel about them, don't they? A little bit of that kind of, again, human kind of thing, and that's all mixing obviously with the ambers, and there's florals in there. You don't really pick out a lot particularly, I'd say, about it. Maybe some of the sweetness is a little bit of jasmine potentially, don't know, not looking at the notes, just tell you what I get. And this warm resinous base. So this is a kind of like, to me, this is you've been out for a few drinks, kind of coming home to some winter hut, and you've had mulled wine on, there's a smell of cloves and stuff, and it's that kind of keeping warm kind of naughtiness, isn't it? It's more there to just there's a kind of saving on the heating bill kind of feel, but it is very, hate this word, sexy. It is, and so what that it tends to be older people wear this now. They can still be obviously, I'm older now, can still be active and whatnot, and it just has this class and elegance as well. But it is, hello, I'm Youth Dew, that kind of fragrance. So yeah, anyway, that's a Youth Dew from Estée Lauder. Next, we're kind of slipping on to a very similar one here, and that's Coco from Chanel. Now, we all know Coco. Similar kind of thing, it's more floral perhaps. You can smell more of the florals in there. Again, I want to say jasmine, probably not. With the little hints of rose, it's very Chanel. And like a nice sweet patchouli, like dense patchouli with the resins in the bottom. And again, it has that kind of clovey feel. Now, the difference between this and Youth Dew, obviously they don't smell the same. Well, this one's more demure. This one's more of a classy kind of look, this is a bit of a posh fur coat and one of them long cigarettes and stuff. And it, again, like used to. This one probably takes you back to the beginning of the 80s again, them big kind of things. And there is in this one a little bit of civet, obviously not like it used to be, and it gives it this animalic kind of brrr in there, and it's nice. You have to smell it right close now. You still get that warmth, that almost hairy bum kind of warmth in there, which again is like, I don't know, winter and dirty sheets and good times. Probably what students' rooms smell of in the 80s, isn't it, really? Because obviously, you know, you don't get to wash your bed in a lot in them days, and if you are very active at university, I suppose. So it's kind of got that 80s charm, and it is a little bit naughty. And again, it makes you think of someone a bit older and put together and confident and all of that. So that's Chanel's Coco. Next, kind of similar again. This note keeps coming up and up and up, doesn't it? Cloves. This is Musc Ravageur, which is a very famous one, and very famous for a reason. It ain't what it used to be. That's what I'm going to say. It's still a lovely fragrance, but all that kind of has all been kind of taken out of it really now. I mean, it's been Estée Lauder, hasn't it? You know, made cheap, not interesting. But it's similar. It's cloves again. There's the probably is something in the base there, maybe a hint of castoreum or something, a little bit of cumin. It's got this kind of still this beautiful purr about it, but I think there's benzoin and vanilla, so this one rounds out. And again, but it's got that cozy naughtiness about it. It ain't what it used to be, but you still get a little, it's more of a meow than a rrr, what it once was. You know, cats, little kittens are still animals, aren't they, I suppose. But it's very cozy, and it's very, you want to smell someone with it, even the modern version. It's just something about it. I'm not a big vanilla lover, but this one, vanilla is the main note of it. I mean, it just is, isn't it? It's very nicely done. It's not boring, it's not cakey, it's not, it has a gourmand, you want to eat someone. It does have a gourmandy touch, but in a more kind of seductive way than that. Anyway, we all know Musc Ravageur. That's Musc Ravageur from Frederic Malle. Then I may as well finish it off with another kind of similar one, and that's Kenzo's Jungle L'Elephant. I think L'Elephant is probably French for elephant, just a guess there. Again, all these fragrances are much of a muchness, I'm not going to lie, but I just love them, and I love this kind of DNA. Now L'Elephant is the ylang ylang is much more prominent in it. The florals kind of stick out more. It's even a little bit what I'd personally say kind of pleasantly sweetly boozy one, slightly with the amberiness in there. I think there's probably cloves, but it's the ylang. It starts off really quite fruity and quite lovely. And I suppose if there's cloves or something, there's a little undercurrent of something a bit kind of, you know, really nice. But for me, I'd say this is like your beginner one. This is kind of like if you're a teenager and you wanted to try these old classic ambery ones, I'd go for this. I've seen people review this so many times. The version I've smelled is probably not, you know, not that modern, not that new. People say it's naughty. Yeah, again, if you're new to fragrances and stuff, and I suppose it has a little bit of that, but it's more a kind of happy, fruity kind of feeling one, which always surprised me. Like them ones I mentioned before, but much more kind of just joyous and happy. And it is a little bit naughty. I think the ylang has the tiniest indolic touch. Like again, it's like it's saying to you, this is what fragrances used to be like back in the day, but here's a modern version of. It's a lovely fragrance, I love it, I'm not dissing it at all, but yeah, that's Kenzo's Jungle L'Elephant. Next, thankfully, we're switching completely now from them kind of ambery ones to a legendary fragrance. I think it started off as being marketed towards women, which again shows what dribble all this is, and everyone likes it. That's Tom Ford's Black Orchid. A lot of it's kind of this fantasy idea and stuff. In Black Orchid, to me, it's really hard to describe. It's kind of this dark, fruity kind of feeling one. There's almost like, in my head, I think there's leather or suede in it actually, but you kind of get this dark black leather jacket with this kind of purple veins through it. It's not like Velvet Orchid, that's much sweeter and more boozy. This one has a kind of the darkness with it, and there is a bit of a, I don't know if it's musks or indols, there's a kind of naughtiness about this, and it's also much more earthy than the others. Like a bit of a, well, like now, a rollabout in an autumn forest with purple fruits and purple orchids and stuff. Yeah, where was I? It was a bit of a frolic in the forest. Mushrooms, weird mushrooms all about, and weird purple flowers, and this kind of lovely leatheriness. I've completely lost my train of thought. We'll just leave it there, can't we? We know Black Orchid. That's Tom Ford's Black Orchid. Next is another indie one, and we're on a completely different path again here. It's Forbidden Bloom from Mabelle. Now this is an interesting one. It's this beautiful kind of pear and peach. I'd say the pear's more there in the opening, and then it kind of, the peach lingers in the background with all these tropical florals. Again, we know me, is it frangipani, is it tiari? It's probably ylang in there, who knows. These tropical florals mixing with this kind of tropical fruit punch, and it's quite dark. Always makes me think of an orange sunset. And there is this kind of lingering muskiness in it. It has this really naughty edge. This is kind of, you know, having a bit of a nice time on the beach with your partner as the sun comes down. It's got that kind of cheeky wink about it. But it's a joyous fragrance. That fruitiness about it in there is just so sumptuous, like a punch, if you like. It's got this kind of not too sweet but darkness, you know, like, I suppose the best way of describing it is like a grenadine or creme cassis. It's not blackcurrant or whatever grenadine's made of, but you know, that kind of dark sweetness that isn't too sweet. It's like that syrupy feel with the fruits kind of lingering in the background, and obviously the florals give it this kind of petaliness and that, and the musks, like I say, are quite magnificent. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that's Forbidden Bloom from Mabelle. Finally, it wouldn't be my video if this wasn't in it, and it does match. I'm not just sticking it in cause for the sake of it, but Mugler's Alien. Again, I have to always say this, the original version, the old version, the proper version. Not anything L'Oreal makes is not Mugler or Alien, is it? But yeah, the old one, I think Dr. Claire describes it kind of camphorous, kind of almost mentally opening, with the jasmine, this kind of dark, sweet loveliness. And then as it opens up, you get, it's the musks and the cashmere. And back in the day when they used it properly, you know, wasn't the choking sock, it was just the kind of base, and it all kind of, that warmed it up, mixing with them white musks and stuff. But it's that dark jasmine. It's just like nothing you've ever smelled. This is like, if you're me, it's like all your dreams come true. It's like just walking through forests of black jasmine flowers everywhere, and like wonderfully weird creatures and all that kind of thing, and a kind of having a good time in these woods. Of course, I'm mentioning this a lot because that's what this fragrance video is about. We all know Alien. Everyone must have smelt it, and if you ever get the chance, don't write it off if you smell the modern version. This is the thing, the older version is not for everyone. It never was. It was always a very, some people loved it and hated it. It's back in the day of creative fragrances to make a statement, fragrances that you had 10 people in the room, they might all be wearing 10 different fragrances because they all had different tastes and they all enjoyed them, they all smelled fantastic. Nowadays everyone's wearing one fragrance and it's all a clone or a copy from another brand of that same fragrance. Dead time. So it's not just the fact this fragrance just smells like the best thing you've ever smelled. It's also nostalgia to good days, isn't it? Them days were better back then, that's a fact. We didn't have dictators, we didn't have armies on streets, kidnapping migrants, our governments openly supporting and arming genocides. It was just a better place. All that stuff no doubt did happen, but it was more hidden, wasn't it? Yeah. So Mugler's Alien, it's kind of dark, naughty, carnal love. That's it. So yeah, I'm hoping this one is brief, maybe under 15 minutes if it was that good. But it's just these kind of naughty fragrances. Some of them, well, probably about half of them lean more vintage, don't they? They did that very well in the day. And sometimes I think I prefer the reformulated versions. Tastes change, we change. Perhaps if you smell originals of some of these fragrances, even to someone like me who loves the kind of more old-fashioned one and stuff, they can be a bit much. They can be pure, utter, like filth, can't they? So, yeah. What about you? What's your kind of favourite dirty, loving fragrance? What's your kind of seductive kind of go-to? Alright folks, thanks. Bye-bye.